Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Brown Girl Book Club. We are going to be discussing Sweethand today with our special guest, Mika. Do you mind, just introducing yourself? I didn't like your YouTube channel below. I'm so silly.
It's
But
okay.
like, maybe what's a favorite genre or favorite book?
Okay. Hi guys. My name is Mika. My channel name is also Mika August. My favorite genre definitely depends. I love romance. I love fantasy, YA, adult, all of that.
All
Favorite
of
book, there's just too many to even name. So it's like impossible.
them. Okay. What's a book you've read this year that has been a standout favorite?
Um, Well, this year has not been the best reading year for me. I'm so
Oh.
sad about it. I think the only book that I've given 5 stars that wasn't a reread was the second Crescent City book.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, hopefully this year will get better.
I know,
Some
I
5
know.
stars in your future, hopefully.
I'm really hoping.
Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely reached out to you because when I wanted to do like romance for our February book pick, I was like, oh, let's get Mika because I know you read a lot of romance. I see you talking about, oh, what's the author's name who does a lot of slow burn?
Mariana Zapata.
Yes, I always see you talking about like their books, and I'm like, I haven't picked it up, but like I want to see how you feel about this. So what's your do you have a favorite romance book or like some romance books that
Oh,
you enjoy?
I love romance so much. Like we've definitely established that. With Mariana Zapata, my favorite romance book of hers is probably I'm gonna go with Wall of Winnipeg and Me because that's the first book I read from her and it was so good.
Wait, what's the
Um,
title again? Wall of what?
The Wall of Winnipeg and Me.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Wall
it's
of
a very
Winnipeg.
interesting name. That one, and then one of her older books is called, I think it was actually written in 2019, so it's not that old, but it's called Luna and the Lie. And these are
Mm.
all very slow burn, but they're so good. One is a workplace romance, and then one is a sports romance. So
Oh.
love it.
How cute. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm like such a like I'm dipping my toe into romance. I'm like slowly getting into it. And I'm like
Nice.
I love when people have like their favorite authors that they go to already because I
Yeah.
feel like especially with romance, they just the backlist of so many
Mhm.
just like, "Oh, I like this author. They've written how many books? Like 20? Okay, cool. Let's dive in."
Right, right. The
Um,
backlist usually gets me sometimes too, but I don't know. There's just something about like, I mean, it's easier to read a romance backlist than like a fantasy backlist sometimes.
mhm.
So like once I find out that I really vibe with a romance author, I go ham. Like I read all their books. So
Awesome. What's an author you did that with where you were like, "I'm reading their entire backlist."
um I definitely did that with Mariana Zapata. Like I'm pretty sure I've read almost all of her books besides two, and they're her two oldest, and they've had like mixed ratings. So I was just like, maybe I'll stay away from them. I started to do it with Jasmine Guillory,
How
and then
cute.
she has new books that I haven't read yet. So, but yeah,
Yeah, she has a lot of books. I think I've only read one of hers, and I think it's like The Royal Holiday. I was trying to get like a Christmas romance
yeah,
going on, and I was like, "This sounds cute," and it was adorable. So
yeah.
I definitely need to check out more of her
She
work.
has very very cute romances.
Mm. I love that. Okay. Before we start talking about Sweet Hand, let me know in the chat if you finished it. We're not going to go into spoilers today about it, but we're definitely going to talk about our favorite moments, our favorite characters. So let me know in the chat if you finished it, if you're planning on reading it, what did you rate it? I want to ask first, like, what's your favorite thing in a romance story? What's your favorite element? If you can pinpoint it. And I was thinking to myself, for me, it's definitely, like, the banter. I need good banter or else it's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good question. Honestly, well, yes, I think one thing, the banter helps a lot. Um, but yeah, the dynamic between like the love interest and the main character, because if I don't feel like the chemistry while I'm reading it, I can tell that it's not gonna be a hit for me, you know?
Mm.
Um, and I also love a funny main character. Like if I'm reading it and I immediately am like smiling at the pages of the character's inner monologue, I'm like, wait, I'm gonna love this. So
Aw. Funny, like laugh out loud funny, or funny like endearing, like cute?
Like laugh out loud funny.
Okay,
I don't know,
okay,
those
just
are like my
making sure.
favorite. Yeah.
And then hi, Vina. And you said it was one of your favorites last year. Oh, nice. Yeah, I loved Sweethand. I don't know. I haven't really decided on a rating for it yet, so I don't know. I don't know if I want to talk about exactly ratings, but I'm still
Right.
marinating on it. I just finished it. Um, but I love that, yeah, funny characters definitely important too. I feel
Mhm.
like chemistry is so like the only thing you're reading a romance book for is the characters. You're
Yeah.
like, I know you guys are gonna be together. I know all this stuff. The third act breakup, everything.
The
So
third breakup.
yeah. So it's like I need to enjoy the people I'm reading about. Pretty
Exactly.
please. Yeah, I love that. Ooh, and then I wanted to talk about like food because this book talks obviously so much about food. Sweet
Mhm.
Hand, for anyone who hasn't like heard about it at all or just slightly interested in it, it is about a girl and a boy. The girl owns, or she doesn't own a bakery, but she owns like a baking business that she runs out of her apartment. And there's some scandalous news about her and her ex-boyfriend, so she's avoiding dating. And then smug guy, it's definitely an enemies to lovers, comes in and ruins her whole plan because they have to plan a wedding together. That's like a very quick and dirty synopsis.
That was fun.
Yeah, a little. It's definitely really fun, but I was reading this book and it really made me crave foods, like really sweet foods. And I was wondering if anyone else felt that way. Mika, did you feel that way? I was
Oh
like,
my gosh, yes. Like I feel like, I mean, every single chapter they're eating something sweet, and I love it because I'm a huge sweets fan. Like candy, treats, give it all to me. So yeah, I thought that was really cute. And even like regular like food, like they talk about because it takes place in Trinidad, right?
mm-hmm.
They even talk about like a lot of like uh Caribbean like food and stuff like that, and I love that. That's what
Yeah,
I ate growing up. So
that's so awesome. I was literally thinking about like this book made me think, when was the last time like I had cake that was like, actually like homemade and like good.
yeah,
It's like it's been so long.
yeah.
I
Oh my
need
God,
that
so
cake.
true.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you felt that connection. And I feel like a lot of people, when I was diving into like the reviews of it, also really enjoyed the representation.
Mhm.
And since it does take place in Trinidad, it's also cool to see this kind of island, like small town environment and how it
Yeah.
makes all the characters behave a certain way. So I wanna talk about that, how that influenced a lot of people's behaviors and having to perform a certain way and
Mhm.
rumors and stuff. I don't know if you've ever lived in a small town, if you've ever felt like that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely. I mean, I grew up in Miami, so it's yeah, everyone kind of knows everyone. But I went to like school in a very sheltered place, so it was like that very much, where it was rumors went around very easily and all of that. So it was very interesting reading that and seeing how the characters would act.
It was so fun. It makes me think, okay, if someone's spreading a rumor about you, the same way I feel like I'm terrible at names. Kieran, the same way Kieran was like, there's all these messy rumors about him going around. Would you make a public statement or would you let people talk crap because you're like, I don't care. I'm not going to feed into it. Which boat do you land in?
That's a good question. I feel like for me, it depends on the rumor. Like if it's like really bad and I don't want my name associated with that, then I'd probably speak up and be like, okay, listen. But if it's something that like people who know me or like people who follow me like know it's not true or accurate, then I'd probably just leave it alone. What about you?
That makes sense. Now I want to say it depends because my first answer was definitely like I'd fight any rumor. Like, why are you
You're
talking
like, I'm
shit?
better than
Like, what do you mean?
everybody.
What's this about? But I think it does depend because honestly, yeah. But I wouldn't even fight people. Like I seem like a very like I'd go in, but I go in with my words. I like to be that person who's like, you can raise your fist at me, but here's why I don't believe in what you're doing. This is why you look stupid. This is why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. This is why you're wasting your energy. Just like all the little things, like pick everything apart, make people feel bad on the inside. Because you know,
Weird
yeah,
Pisces.
yep. Because it's just like with rumors and stuff, it is such a waste of time. And it's like, obviously, your life is boring if you're sitting around listening and talking about me.
Right.
Like, get it together. So that's why my energy is like, I would fight any rumor, but my fighting would be so like low energy, like, you're wasting your energy, hun.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So semi fight any rumor. But it's funny because both characters feel that way in a sense. Both our main characters feel they have to dodge a lot of like rumors and appearance problems. Because even with, um, I'm so terrible with names. Kieran and do you remember the girl's name?
Charisse.
Charisse. Thank you. I was like Cherry. No, that
No,
wasn't it.
I'm definitely bad with names too. I wrote them down. Like I usually write the names down if I'm listening to an audiobook and have the description of them just so that I remember it, and then it ends up sticking that way.
That is super smart because I definitely listened to the audiobook, so I didn't ever like look at their names. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like that's why I didn't stick. But Charisse was so worried about her constant like needing to look sweet and kind,
Mhm.
because of this big blow up that happened last year that people still talk about apparently, and the small island like rumor mill that she's so
Right.
concerned about.
Right.
So it's just interesting how both these characters have such different ways of handling almost trauma in a sense or just drama.
Yeah.
One being like, okay, I'm gonna pretend everything is perfect, and the other guy is just like, I'm not gonna give any energy to this. I
Right.
don't have it.
It's kind of like it's like a joke to him. Like he's just like, whatever about it.
Yeah. And then I think it's kind of like what you said, where it's like at least your close friends and family won't know that it's true, like the people
Right.
that matter, which is also why I think Kieran is such an endearing character
Mhm.
because he was like so hurt. He's like, why do you believe the rumors? You know, I'm
Yeah.
not like this.
Yeah, exactly. And like even when, I don't think this is technically a spoiler, but even when he like says something that can be taken out of turn, like he knew he was like, well, I mean, my friends know that there was a joke, so like, why is it such a big deal?
Yes, exactly. That whole moment that spurred everything. It's just
Yeah,
very funny to be like, "Oh, you be trusting random reporters with your inside jokes? Okay, that's not smart." Like,
literally.
sir, you know what
Okay,
time we live in, right? What are you
right.
doing? So to ask, do you think these two have chemistry? Do you ship them? Do you not? Since it's an important part of a romance.
I definitely ship them. I actually thought it was so cute from the beginning. Like when they first meet, I was like, yep, they have chemistry. I love to see it.
When they like literally first bump into each other, you're like, I'm
Yeah,
here.
because you can tell that they have I think ships tend to always be better when the characters have history as well.
Mhm.
Like, that's why I tend to like friends to lovers a lot of the time is because those characters have history there. So it's easier to build up that like bond and relationship and like show it to the readers that way. Um, and even though they're enemies, like they still have that history. So
Yes.
I loved it.
Yeah. I think I really loved this take on it because like not knowing the history and them just diving into like disliking each other is great because it makes me ask so many questions and I feel
Right.
so invested just from the beginning because I'm like, why do you guys hate each other so much? What's happening? What's going on? And
Literally.
I just feel like the whole beginning was so it's kind of like wrapped in mystery but then also laced in sarcasm. So it's like
Mhm.
my love from every angle. Like, oh, I love all this banter and I love that I not everything is given to me in the first 30 seconds of the page where it's like, oh, we grew up together in high school and I hated him because of this exact reason. And it's like,
Exactly.
don't give it
Leave,
to me all at once.
yeah, leave something to the imagination.
Yeah. And then also a really cool part about this book, a lot of the queer characters. I wanted to ask you about the representation. If you liked it, if you thought it added to the story, how did it make you feel?
I honestly really liked it because, like, when you read a book, I mean, or at least a romance book or a book that takes place in real life, like, you want to see things that would be in real life, you know what I mean? So, and I usually I don't like when like authors are trying to like make it be like, oh, like I'm putting this in my book to like have this representation, but it just felt very natural to the story, and I just loved it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved it too. I literally like screamed when like it was revealed. So I don't want I won't say exactly what because I feel like that might be kind of spoilery if you wanted to keep it a secret. But like one of our main characters is bi, and I was just so I was
Right. I was like,
because it's
"What?"
so rare for a romance to have that and it not be an issue. I feel like so many
Yeah.
books, romance especially, will put in a bi character just for a plot point of like contention.
Mhm.
So I really love that it wasn't a big deal. Like no one was insecure or upset. Like of course he talks about or they talk about their past and like growing up and realizing who they are, but it just felt yeah, it felt so natural. And I also liked because a lot of these in these small communities where they're very religious and things like that, we also have characters who are also kind of closeted and protecting themselves
Right.
and no one's judging them or telling them that they need to come out right now. So I thought that there's a side character who has that kind of storyline. And I was like, I appreciate that. A lot of romance will be like everyone's out and proud and everything's fine, or they're hiding it for a plot point. It's like,
Yeah, that's
it,
so true.
yeah. So I really appreciated the representation because I feel like it was very honest from the beginning and
Mhm.
it didn't feel like it was done just to, you know, add a label to the book. Oh, queer romance, a queer
Yes.
black romance in Trinidad. We're hitting all the marks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. That excited me. And then something else about this book, which is very interesting, and I also want to know in the chat if you guys also would do this. How many chances would
Hold
you give
on.
someone? Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
you're good. So how many chances would you give someone if they mess up? So in this book, there's a character who keeps messing up and messing up and messing up. How many chances do you give someone before you're like, exit, leave me alone?
Hmm. Um, oh, it depends. Cause like for me, with friends, I'm very giving. Like I give chances after chances after chances, but like with romantic relationships, maybe first, second time, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking that during like reading this, I'm like, okay, one or two chances is like all I have, especially for like someone like Charisse who had such a bad relationship before. It's like I'm
Mhm.
surprised you keep going back, ma'am.
Yeah,
Like
like, um,
it's very telling what's happening. Oh no.
yeah, I definitely like. I just don't have it in me to give that many chances to a romantic partner because it's like after a while, if you have those boundaries set and that other person knows it, there shouldn't be going over those boundaries or like messing up repeatedly, you know?
Yeah, that's like a broken trust.
Yeah.
Like, how do you rebuild that? It's like maybe as a friend we can rebuild this, but
Mhm.
romantically, it's like, what are you doing?
Right. It's a wrap.
Hmm. Let's see. I was surprised to see so much queer rep in the Caribbean romance at first, just coming from the same island background as the author and hearing a lot of people's opinions. And yes, I hate when adding a queer character feels like it's just checking things off a list. Yeah. I was also surprised. That's why I was pleasantly surprised by how it was embedded. I feel like it was done authentically, like respectfully, just like doing it because people in real life are like that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. And she also said a cheating is an absolute one and done.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
See, I can do a second chance for like a miscommunication kind of thing where it's
Mhm.
like a little bit gray. But yeah, I think cheating is a firm no. Being like
Yeah.
exit. Okay. Let's see. What was our favorite moments? Maybe let's talk about that. I have to like think of a favorite moment now because I was just like, what I don't think I had a moment that I didn't like. Mm,
Yeah, literally. Like there has not been a moment where it was like, I don't really like this that much. Um, but when that sticks out to me a lot is right before their first kiss. It
aw,
was so cute. It was just so cute. It's like literally the halfway point of the book. And like
yes.
it was just like the moment them laughing before and like just eating. I don't know. I thought it was so adorable.
Agreed. That is very, very adorable. I don't know. I'm trying to think of one. I also really appreciated that the romance came in halfway through because I think a lot of people who read romance or like read romance like serially, like only read romance, read it for like the steamy bits, which I think
Mhm.
this book does a really good balance of developing good characters in the first half and then having like the steamy part in the second half.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Some people may love that or hate that. I appreciated it because you really get to have these moments of, are they gonna kiss? Are they not gonna kiss? And by
Right.
like, I don't know, by the 30% mark, I was like, I'm rooting for these two. Like, I need them to kiss already. Like, why aren't
Exactly.
they together? Um, so I don't know. Picking a favorite moment, I think I have to say when it was the raining scene, like the first raining scene when he came in, and they were just so awkward about like, oh hey, like I don't, should I mop? Should I do this? Should I do that? And him like having to undress and like wear the little towel. It just,
Mhm.
I if I put myself in those shoes, I feel like I would be just as equally awkward and like
Right.
terrified and just super like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
I
So
love
I like
that.
that. Oh, let's see. Avina said, I liked when she introduced him at the family cookout. Oh, that was also cute. Yeah. Until like 2 pages later, and then I was like mad at him. But oh, so adorable. Oh, and that
Mhm.
reminds me, family's such a huge role in this book because uh they're preparing for their like her sister's wedding this whole book.
Yeah.
So there's so much like family involvement in their love life. I
Mm.
wanted to ask you how you felt about that. If your mom in real life was like that, where it's like you're 29, you're getting old, you need to marry someone, I want kids, grandkids.
Um, it's funny because my mom really isn't, like, she doesn't really talk about my love life unless I go to her and talk about it, you know? And then she's,
Mhm.
like, super invested and, like, wants to know everything. But, yeah, or even, like, with my sister, like, she's never like, "Oh my gosh, you're getting older, like, it's time to get married and have kids and blah, blah, blah."
Wait till you're 29. That's when it starts, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. So, currently, I do not have that issue, but
Mm.
I also just feel weird bringing, like, a boyfriend around my family. It's,
Mm.
like, a thing I have, I don't know.
You're like, "That's my family. This is
Yeah,
separate."
I'm like, I can't.
That's so funny. If you had an overbearing parent, do you think that you would listen to them and, like, cater to them since they're so overbearing?
Um,
Oh, sorry, wait, what Venus says it starts at 25.
25.
That's when it's the peak
Yeah,
age.
my sister's 25 and, like, surprisingly, my mom is just like, "Whatever," when it
You've lucked
comes.
out, you've lucked out.
I know, yeah, I love my mom, so but, wait, what was your question?
Um Oh, there that I did ask you a question and then interrupt. That's
I
totally how
forgot.
well, if you had an overbearing parent,
Oh,
would you cater to their needs just to get them to be like, "Please stop. I'll go on a date, just stop."
um, no, because when someone, like, really, really wants me to do something, I don't wanna do it. Like, I'm just like, "Ugh." I don't know, it would depend, like, I would have to wanna be in a relationship as well.
Mhm.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's like, if
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, like, you should go on a date," or like, I'll set you up with someone that I know," then I'd be like, "Okay, fine, I guess," but only if I really wanted to do it.
Mm. Oh, that's really good. That's smart because I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, the amount of I don't know why being, like, single is such a weird thing, especially with family. They're always like, "Where's your boyfriend? Where's your this? Where's your that?" And it's good to stand your ground and be like, "I'm just gonna date who I want to date.
Yeah.
Thank you."
Period.
Period. I love that. I feel like I'm like my mom is definitely not like that either, and it's funny because 'cause I'm 25 too, and she's not like, "When are you getting married? When are you gonna do this and that?" She's more like, "Be careful who you date, honey. Like, they're
Yeah.
mean." So I love that. So I don't know if I feel like if I had an overbearing parent and like who wanted me to date and get married, I feel like I would fall into the plate of, okay, I'll go out with this person to shut you up.
Right.
Because I just feel
Yeah.
like I could not handle like years of someone being like, "Me, me, me, you're so sensitive.
Yeah.
Your
I could
ovaries are rotting."
I could not imagine that either.
Yeah, that sounds not fun. But I loved how this book really depicted that family dynamic of dating because I do feel like for like not just like older people, but like especially older women, they're like, wanting to have kids and stuff. It gets really serious, and
Yeah.
everyone's always like, why aren't you married? So
Mhm.
I like how this book painted it as like not an issue, but like for the parents, it was an issue. For the
Mhm.
mom, it's like, I'm gonna get this. We're gonna find you a dude.
She made it her mission.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then what else? This book was just really fun, in my opinion. I don't know. I had a good time. Like I found myself like I didn't think it was like laugh out loud funny, but I just found myself like smiling the whole time. Like
Mhm.
I was just like,
I
"Mm."
I thought it was okay, it's definitely not laugh out loud funny. I think I just find weird things funny. So, like, I loved it was interesting how mean she was to Kieran, and, like, he was just so down bad for her. Like, I don't know why, but I thought that part was just really, really funny to me in the beginning, at least, when she's just like or whenever she's about to have one of her meltdowns, and then, like, her best friend has to, like, come to her and, like, help her calm down for a little bit, and then she comes back to the situation, she's like, "Hi," and she's, like, smiling.
Oh, that was funny. I definitely agree with you. That is hilarious how she would always come back and be like, "Everything is fine," even though I was literally just like freaking out like 2
Right.
seconds ago and everyone saw it and I was like, "We're okay."
Like, I
My
definitely love the main character in that sense, like, she had a good, strong personality, which I think sometimes main characters suffer from in books.
Yes, yes. I feel like I don't know if it's especially romance too. I loved how in the beginning she was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know what I want," and there was that energy. But like when it came down to it, it wasn't like, "Oh, I don't know." It was like,
Mhm.
"Let's do it.
Right,
Let's have
right.
this. Let's go. Let's try and see what happens." So I
Mhm,
definitely really like that she was a strong personality,
mhm,
and I feel like the book talked about it in a healthy way, where it's like her mom and people would tell her like, "Oh, your laugh is too loud, and what you're wearing is too tight." And it's like, you know what? No. It's like, I'm gonna wear the tight dress. I'm gonna laugh how I laugh.
exactly.
I'm gonna ask for my needs to be met. And I shouldn't live any less. Like that's life. That's all I really need to
Period,
do.
exactly.
Yeah. So she was a really great, strong character. And I think it kind of balanced out Kieran in a sense.
Mhm,
We are like 30 minutes in, so it's not like we're gonna go into too many spoilers, but we are probably gonna talk about like nitty-gritty moments. So
mhm.
if you're still interested in going in blind to this book, just letting you know. Be warned. This is your warning. But I found Kieran to be kind of like a sensitive being, like a little like he like cared very deeply. And it's their history, obviously, having had relation or like feelings for her or previously. So I like the balance of her being like, I have this need and I want you to meet it, and him being like, okay, but like I also like you. Was so cute.
Yes, for sure. Like, she definitely her personality definitely, like, overpowered in some senses, but I loved it because that's what I mean by, like, she was not that she was mean to him, but she definitely was very stern with him
Mhm.
majority of the time, and he was just, like, so infatuated with her, and I love it.
Yes. And I mean, at some points she was mean. At some points I feel
Yeah.
like she was like gonna step on him and he was like, "Yes, step
He's like, "Do it."
on. This is what I want from life, to be stepped on."
Oh my god.
Yeah, their dynamic was very good. But I also
Mhm.
yeah, I really like the contrast of the two where she was a very, very clear character, a very strong character, and knew what she wanted. And even when she started to question romance and relationships because she kind of like swore them off, it wasn't like a, "Oh, woe is me, like, life's over." It's like, no, she's like, "Okay, I need to tuck that away and focus on baking and, like, my job."
Right.
Mhm. Oh, wait, that's ano that I think my favorite moment was actually when she was sick and he
Mhm.
brought over the soup and, like, literally waited to give it to her. I thought that was really sweet.
I love scenes like that in books, like, in general. Like, when the main character is sick. I don't know, that's not, like, a trope per se, but whenever that happens in a book, I'm eating it up. Like
Me too. I literally thought that when I was reading it. I was like, "Oh, I love when this happens, when
yeah,
it's like, I'm gonna take care of you because 'cause you're sick." I forget what I think I was just watching some rom-com show, and there was that the it's not a trope, but it is a moment where it's like,
right.
"Oh, I'm disgusting and sick, and, like, get away from me." And they're just like, "No, here's your soup."
They're like, "No, I wanna take care of you."
Yeah.
It's so cute. It just, like Because little moments like that just it shows how much the character cares for that person, and it's so adorable to me. Or even, like, I read a book once where, it was kind of like a love triangle moment, and she has to go to the hospital really fast because she got into a car accident, and she calls this guy to, like, come pick her up, and he's like, "Oh, I can't, like, I'm busy doing something." And then she calls, like, the actual love interest, and he, like, drops everything that he's in the middle of to go pick her up and, like, help her and, like, all this. And I was like, it's just little things like that, like, scenes where the character is in need or sick or, like, needs help, and the love interest will do anything for them. I think it's so cute.
It is. It makes you be like, "Where's mine?"
I know, I'm like, "Can this happen to me?"
Yes, yes. I definitely agree. Those moments, I feel like can, you can over romanticize them and stuff, but I feel like just at the bare bones, I love it. Like you're a little sniffly, you're a little sick. Let me help you, and not
Mhm.
making a big deal out of it. Being like, no, I like you. I want to be here for you. I think that
Right.
says a lot just about the relationship the two characters are forming.
Mhm.
Obviously, like having to go to the hospital and dropping everything is totally like
That expectation is top tier.
that's a lot. But at the same time, also, like, if you're like, I don't know what the stakes are. If like I'm bleeding out, then I would hope someone would drop
Would
everything for
Yeah,
me.
would drop everything to come help me. But even in the scenes where it's like you're sick and they bring you a cup of soup, like that is still so it should be the bare minimum, but it's not.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will have this sentiment online that they'll say it, being like, "Oh, well, like I hope you feel better. Like I'll get you some soup or something." But then there's like very little follow through.
Right.
It's like, well, you actually have to make it or like, order it for me or something. You know what I mean? I want to imagine some soup up.
Right.
Yeah, it was so sweet, and I also the amount of times Kieran, like, showed up at her house was just
Mhm.
like, "I'm outside." Like, I thought romantic, but also like, "Sir."
Right. I need a notice in advance. Like, I can't just have you showing up to my house like this.
Yeah, like, texting, "I'm literally downstairs, like, in your house." It was very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, their romance definitely showed on the page and was very, very cute, and I know there's a second book in this series coming out. I don't know if it's about different characters, or the same characters. I'd love it to be about the same characters because 'cause I'm like, "They're so cute," and I want more. I also kinda love romance books that where they just start dating, like the whole build is to when they are about to start dating. I
Mhm.
love that first book, but then I always want like a follow-up of, okay, how are they dating? Like
Right,
how's the
right.
date going?
Yeah.
I wanna know the details.
Yeah, the little domestic moments and everything.
Yeah, because it's like she swore off guys in the music industry and now she's dating another guy in the music industry. That has to be a problem. Like, what's his name? Sean and Kieran are working together.
Mm,
What are we gonna do?
right.
Because we don't like him collectively as a group. So what are we gonna do? Trying to figure out if the second book is about different characters. The first book keeps popping up. Well,
Oh, the title
I'm
is so
very
cute.
much gonna keep reading it. Hmm?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was saying how the title is so cute.
What's the title for the second one?
It's "Don't Go Baking My Heart."
Oh, that's adorable. Oh, and then let's see. Vina said book two is about Kieran's brother. Oh, snap. Wait, Eric, the one who got married? Oh, wait, not Eric. Um, I'm like thinking there was Maxine. There's all the names escape me. I'm like, who is?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's Scott, Eric.
I'll tell you right now,
Who's-
Devin,
Oh, right. I almost forgot about him.
yeah.
There were a lot of cute, like really cute side characters that had their moment. So I also like that in a romance when they interact with all these different people and you can kind of see who these people really are,
Mhm.
not just in their room being doing the dirty.
Yeah.
Like they come
Yes,
out and
yes.
they're yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like a lot of the romance books now definitely have a heavy focus on smut. Um, but I love romance books where it has like a good mixture between like fluff and smut. Like I want to get to know the characters and like them together before
Mhm.
I like see them in that setting, you know? And
Mhm.
obviously there are books that are specifically for just smut, but then I don't know, when it comes to a romance book, like a full-length novel, I want that balance.
Yeah, it's like when it's less than 200 pages, you know what you're getting into. If
Yeah.
it's more than 250, you're like, okay, give me plot, give me
Right.
character development.
Right. Exactly.
Looking at the page length to be like,
To determine, you're like, okay, what am I getting myself into right now?
yeah, because yeah, I agree with you too. That is definitely the romance I like because I feel like, yeah, just getting to know the characters and stuff, it makes like the kiss even better. It's like, oh, like I'm rooting for them. Like I really want the
Exactly.
best for them.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. The brother's name is Devon and Sharice's friend Reba. Oh, interesting. They're into each other. Oh. Kind of wish that there was also a story for, I think her name was Remy, her
Yeah.
friend who is, I think she's identifies as like a lesbian.
I
Um,
thought that that's what the next book was going to be about when you said it, but
yeah, because I feel like that she's the character, like I kind of almost feel like the saddest for her because she has this unrequited love. And
yeah.
it's just like, I'm gonna just pretend I'm not in love with you and
Right.
keep
Yeah.
going about my day. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. I really want a book on her.
girl. Yes, and I love that authors are starting to do romance stories that are in like this like rich like friend group or like just like this really like detailed environment of all these people, and then they're like, okay, this is a story about these two, and the
Right.
next one would be about these two.
These
And
two,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, keep going. We
Yeah.
want
And
to
for
keep
me,
this going.
because I used to not like that type of story where like it would be about different people in the friend group, if that makes sense, which is
Mhm.
weird because I don't know why. Like, I don't know if you ever read The Deal by Elle Kennedy, but
Mhm.
that series follows a bunch of different guys in a friend group. And for me, I was just like not into it then. But now I love it. I'm like, I don't
Did
know
you go
what.
back and read it again and you're like, ooh, yes?
No, I
Or
went back. I did read the first, I think, 2 or 3 books in the series. But I read it back then, and I remember being like, if I read it now, I probably would have liked it way more, you know?
mm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that's
agree, like, now
interesting.
I really like when they do the little friend group stuff.
Yeah, that's adorable. I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's more so like a common theme now. So I guess
Mhm.
back in the day, it would be weird to be like, well, I want more from this couple. Why are you
Yeah,
writing about
that
some
was
other couple?
literally it. Or I would read the other books just to get, like, glimpses of the couple from the first book. Like, I would do
Love
that all
that.
the time.
Oh my gosh. And Venus said that that is what the third book is about, I think,
Remy?
Remy,
Yeah,
right. Okay, I was like, I was trying to remember their name.
yeah.
And I also was confusing Reba and Remy, like, for,
For a
like, the
second, me
first
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
listening to the audiobook, I was like, I have to remember who is who right now.
yeah.
But I literally am living for that third book because I have a lot of questions. I could not live with someone like that. That sounds bad. Like, how do you live with someone you have an unrequited crush for?
Mhm.
We're just skated over that the whole book. Just like, okay, good luck. Ooh.
Questions.
Okay, let's see. I don't know if I have any more questions. Trying to think of any. Well, I guess I'll ask, but you might not have any. If there's anything that you wanted to change or something that you were expecting that you didn't get.
Honestly, no. Like when I tell you, this book has been like such a highlight in my reading history so far this year. Like this book was so good. So there's nothing that I read that I was like, I don't really like this, or I would change. Like I think the way it was written was just it was also written very good. Like I just really liked the writing. I loved all the characters, the story. Like, yeah.
Yay! I love it's Mika approved. Yes.
Yes.
I
And I
love
feel like I've
that.
become picky with romance books, honestly. But,
Mhm.
like, just from the moment I started out, I was like, I could tell this is gonna be a good book.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, I agree. I need the characters to have substance. Yes. Yes.
right.
And I love it. This book really delivers on the substance. I
It
feel
does.
like the only thing that for me that I noticed that every time I like wanted something, I feel like the author was like, "Oh, here you go." Like this is the time because like in the beginning she was kind of wishy-washy about like, oh, I don't want to have these feelings towards this guy. But then I loved when the time came, when in the moment when, you know, when they're baking and stuff and dancing and stuff, she's like, do it. The challenge. And I was like, yes, I love that, because I feel like, yeah, the wishy-washy of feelings can only go so far. Because I think there is
Right.
a point in time when you have feelings for someone you don't want to, and then it gets a little weird. But it's like some romance books just live on that, where it's just constantly like they'll kiss and then they'll think, oh, I can't do that, no, and then they'll kiss
Yeah.
again, and then it's like, no, I shouldn't have, and it's like, wow.
It's very back and forth.
And I was just starting to feel that feeling of, girl, shut up and kiss him, and she did it for me. She's like, okay, let's go, and I was like, thank
Right.
you,
It was,
something.
like, literally the perfect balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just enough for you to, like, want, as the audience, be like, kiss already, and then like, boom. It's like, yes. Exactly, like, painted out perfectly. I loved it,
Right.
and it's just enough, like, tension to make it, like, really meaningful, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm like, any romance now, I feel like I gotta be careful. Any romance that has, like, a really beautiful illustrated cover and it's, like, over the 250-page mark, I'm like, is
Yeah.
it time to dive in?
Yeah. But, like, honestly, I don't know, it's with recent romances, it's kinda hard to, like, dig out the really, really good ones because they all look so similar.
Mm.
So, like, I don't know. This was one of my favorite romances in a minute, I will say that.
Aw.
Like, it's super cute, it is. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to read the next book in the
I'm
series.
hyped. I'm definitely hyped. I feel um, like, I don't read romance. Like, I've probably read maybe, like, 5, and this is
I
definitely
have Rex for you. Don't
oh,
worry.
thank you. I've read a couple, and I've loved a lot of them, but I feel like they kind of are in the same vein of that category, like this one where it's like a lot of building, and then you develop the characters, and then
Mhm.
they start to have their relationship, which is what I like. So I don't know. Yeah, I can imagine if you dive into the romance genre and start reading really widely. Like, I haven't read a sports romance. And I'm too scared to, because I'm like, I don't like sports. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I mean, yeah, there's just so many different types of romances that you can read, and I mean, for me, I started reading romances from when I was young. Honestly shouldn't have been reading romances when I started, but I've
like, adult
definitely
romance,
yes. Like, I was so
not YA.
no, I was so young reading adult romance. So I, like, have established what I like in books and what I don't like in books. So now it's very easy for me to tell when I'm gonna like a romance book and when I'm not, like, from the beginning, kind of.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's good to know. It just
yeah,
sucks if you, like, buy a pretty book and then you're, like,
it's
15 pages in and you're already like,
it's happened so many times. Like, you don't even understand. It's happened a lot. But, like, even with you saying, like, with sport romances, I thought I was the same too, where I was like, "I don't care about sports, like, I'm not gonna read a sport romance." But it sounds like you really like angst in your books.
I would say yes, like, tension, good banter,
Mhm.
some angst a little bit,
Yes.
but,
Yeah.
like, not too angsty where it's like you're dipping into, like, YA where we're spending the whole book being like, "I want you, but I can't have you." It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
That's why I like this one, because it was angsty for a hot second, and then she turned around and went, "Okay, I'm ready."
Right, she's like, "Okay, enough waiting."
Yep. Yes. Oh, so you said you had Rex. What would you
I
recommend
do.
for if people like who liked Sweethand? What do you think?
Ooh, okay, hold on. I have to think.
I would say for me, the another romance that I read and really like, and an author I really like is Mimi Grace. I don't know if you've read Along for the Ride. I definitely
I
like that one.
have not.
Oh. Well, it's kind of like this where it's enemies to lovers, and
Mhm.
the beginning of the book starts with these two characters on a road trip, stuck together for like 8 hours in a car. Um, and it's very funny and witty and lots of like good banter. And then when the road trip ends, they're like, okay, how do we have this relationship that we're trying to build off of, and she's very serious about her career. So it just was a good balance of like, you know, character development, substance, and that little bit of angsty tension where it's like, oh, I'm rooting for you too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So definitely check out Along for the Ride by Mimi Grace too.
Okay, I'm gonna add it to my Goodreads like right now.
Yes. Now we need you to spill your beans, your Rex.
I know. I'm like, now I have to like go and like look at my Rex and like look at my Goodreads.
I love that. I do that too all the time. I'm like, oh wait, let me pull out Goodreads.
Okay, so I don't know if you've read Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa.
It's on my. I have the audiobook. I feel like Venus been telling me to read that book for like ever.
I genuinely like love that book when I read it. It was such a good time. It's definitely okay. I read the second book because I got the arc to it, and I didn't love it as much as I loved the first book. Like the first book, it was just so fun to me. And I really like the main character, and she's just a girl boss. So, you know, she's very into her career and very focused on her career, and it like not having a slip up. It's honestly kind of like this, where she's like focused on not having a slip up or like making the same mistakes that she has in the past. And just the romance in that one was so cute to me. I will say the smut wasn't my favorite, but like for me, the romance just trumped it for me. Like honestly, I didn't even really need like amazing smut for me to really, really enjoy the book. So recommend that.
Cute. Look, Venus said she didn't like the second one. But The Best Worst Man is funny.
Right. The second one, I really wanted to like it. I really did. And like it was super quick and easy to read. But the first one is just so funny and good. Like,
yeah, The Best Worst Man, that title alone, just I feel like there's a lot of expectation for just humor. How can you be the best worst man? Like you're like supposed to be the best man.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah.
Oh, and then Venus said she likes a lot like Adios. Is that the second, like the Hola? What is it called? You Had Me At Ola.
Oh, Ola, yeah, maybe it is.
Is that the second one? I don't know.
I'm gonna go.
I feel like that sounds really familiar. And I was literally just at a like romance bookstore that had that all over the place because I don't know if it was like just released. But that's also one I want to check out. That seems like a really cool author and series to dip into.
I like the cover. Yeah, I think the first book is You Had Me At Ola.
Yeah. The cover, again, Chef's Kiss, like illustrated cover above 250 pages. I'm here for it. That's all I need.
One of my friends is always telling me to read You Had Me At Ola. Like she's literally like, you need to read the book. It's so good. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, gotta do it. We have now 2 people telling us to do it. Your friend and Venus, like, get on it.
Yeah.
Let's see. And she also said, a long romance loses me somewhere between 50 to 70%. I don't know if I've ever read a long romance, but I could see why. But do you like long romances?
It depends on the author and the writing. Because for me, Mariana Zapata, I know a lot of people can't get into her because she is very slow burn. Like very, very slow burn. But I live for the angst. That's like my thing. I couldn't do it if there was absolutely no angst between the characters or there wasn't any attraction between the characters. But in her books, like you can definitely, you see them kind of like build that friendship first and then get to know each other on like a way deeper level. And then you literally just want them together so bad that when it finally happens, I'm like, I don't even realize how much time has passed or how far I am into the book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I only have like 20% left. So in those cases, I really enjoy long romances, but there have been some books where I'm like, this is so long and there's been like no character progression or character development or like no even hint at a romance. That's kind of when it loses me for sure. I'm like, okay,
no more. That makes sense. I would understand that. I feel like when it comes to like a long romance book, I don't think I've ever dipped my toe into that, and I might have to try some of Mariana Zapata's work. Maybe, I don't know. I'm still like, that's too long. Like,
I would recommend you one that I think goes by fast. I mean, to be honest, I think you should start with The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I
Really?
made one of my friends, yeah, I made one of my friends read that one, and I think it was her first Mariana Zapata book, and she, like, loved it. I've never had someone tell me that they didn't like that one.
Oh, so
So,
you're like scared now that like you're gonna be
I
like
know.
first.
Yeah, you might be the first, but I really think you should try it just because, like, it has a lot of tropes that are popular now, but they were done before they were popular. So I just something about that, I don't know, it just feels really authentic and it's so good. I definitely think you should read it.
I definitely will. I feel like for me, like when it comes to long romance, I love it in my fantasy. Like that's where it's like best.
Oh
Like
yeah,
An Ember in the Ashes.
I love
Um,
that book.
yes. Well, and that's why I was just talking to Mika about the Black Witch. The I think it's called like the Black Witch Chronicles has a love triangle, which I really love. That's kind of embedded in this crazy fantastical world. I don't know if have you read The Last Magician yet? I'm
No,
calling
because
you out.
we've talked about this since when I like came to visit you in LA. Like, and I
Yes,
still
I
haven't read
did. That
it.
was the series I was telling you about. That banter between the two characters is like literally when people ask me about, oh, like romance. What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know, but I love the romance in this long ass fantasy series.
Okay, I will definitely. I need to read it. I It's one of those books that it's on the back of my mind, and I always go to buy it, but then I always forget to buy it. But I
No, that makes
have
sense.
to.
And it's also like I feel like with the Black Witch and like the Last Magician, like when you are approaching a book that's already like 600 plus pages,
Mhm.
it's like not a priority. And
Yeah.
there's like 3 books already out. You're like,
Mhm.
how do I start this journey? And I'm like,
Right.
yes,
Is the series
everyone
complete?
join me. Wait, what?
Is the series complete?
No, actually. I think The Last
Okay.
Magician was about to be a trilogy, but then she's like the last one, she admitted there's I think it's called Shattered City is the 4th installment. And I don't know if she's revealed if that's going to be the last one or not. I really need to join her email list. I'm missing all
Okay.
the bits. There's a lovely girl. I talk to Mary all the time on Twitter, and she's always like DMing me about updates on the series. And I'm like, thank you. I love this because
I love
she's a part of
that.
the mailing list. So
Yeah. Okay, I'll definitely read it because I was honestly looking for like a new fantasy series that I could read that has good romance in it because I don't know what it is about romance fantasy books that hits. Like maybe it's because it's so fleshed out in a series and like there's high stakes, you know? So
mm.
I don't know what it is, but I definitely sometimes prefer fantasy romance books. But I mean, I love romance, period. So it doesn't like
All romance, I'll take it. But I will
right.
say, when it comes to stories like The Last Magician, it is more like An Ember in the Ashes, where it's very plot driven and the
Mhm,
romance is on the back burner, and that's why
mhm.
it feels slow burn. Because
Yeah,
it's like, and that's why I love An Ember in the Ashes because there's so much going on in the world, but they literally don't have time to address their feelings. So it's
yeah.
kind of like that. That's how The Last Magician is. Because I
No,
wouldn't say it's a romantic fantasy. I would just say it's like it's a fantasy that
but
has a
you
little bit
just
of
like the
romance.
romance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just so you're prepared. This is
Okay.
not.
Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna jump in and then be like, "Oh, we're getting romance
Yeah,
immediately."
I'm trying to think of the really popular one by Jennifer something that
Oh,
everyone's
From Blood
talking
and
about.
Ash?
Yes, it is not from Blood and Ash at
Okay,
all.
that's fine. To be
Okay.
honest, like, most of the fantasy series that I've read have that where the romance is very, like it's on the back burner, um, but I genuinely like slow burn romance. Like, I love that type of romance, so that sounds good to me.
Good. Yay. Okay. Just making sure the expectations are not like
Yeah.
different. Let's see. I have these books in my Amazon cart. Now I'm gonna order them this weekend. Yes. Wait, which one? I'm very curious. Which who has compelled you to buy what? And also, I really hope you like it if you do choose to buy it, because I would also be very sad if you didn't.
Yes.
I always get very worried. I'm like, use your library or lose. I love using Scribd. I use Scribd for today's book, Sweethand. I feel like it's very handy dandy to just listen to the audiobook and then like, okay, now I need to buy this book when I have the time.
I used Libby for the audiobook.
Libby's also really good.
Yeah.
Yes. Libby for me didn't have Sweet Hands, sadly.
I know
I
when I
need to
saw it, I got lucky because as soon as I requested it to be, like, on hold, there was 2 people behind me. So I was like, "Oh, I got so lucky."
You just sneaked in there last minute.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Dark Magic Divine finally has an audiobook if you want a good fantasy romance with a black lead. Nice.
Ooh.
I do want to dip more into actual like romance that is fantasy because I feel like there's a whole subgenre of like really fun
Oh, yeah.
romance. I read a paranormal romance for the Brown Girl Book Club a few months ago, and I was like, this is fun. I could see why people were maybe obsessed with Twilight.
Oh, I was obsessed with Twilight. I love a good paranormal romance. Probably one of my favorite genres just because it's so fun. It's so fun. I always have the best. Like, I have not read a paranormal romance and I'm like, this is bad. Like, I just have the best time.
Yeah. It's just so many fun elements. So I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Dark Magic Divine. Okay, and I have book 1 in my cart and too impatient for Libby. That makes sense. I'm also impatient, and that's why I think Scribd helps me.
Yeah.
I'll get like 3 books a month, and then it like limits you, and I'm like, okay, at least I got those 3, and then the rest of the month I'll just use Libby.
Yeah. Oh, but I recently got a Kindle, so now I have Kindle Unlimited.
Also very good.
Going insane. Like, I love all the choices that I have. And I mean, I've had Kindle Unlimited before, like on my phone. But now that I have my Kindle, like, it's so fun just like going through and like being like, I'm gonna read you. I'm gonna read you.
Yep.
There's
Oh,
so
I
many-
love it. I'm glad you got that because I also used Kindle Unlimited all the time. I normally use it actually for mangas, which is like also like mostly romance. I'll read a lot of romance mangas or like YA romance kind of where they're still in high school and stuff. They have such a great selection on Kindle
I didn't
Unlimited.
know they have mangas on Kindle Unlimited.
They do. They have some series where it's like you can read the first like 5 volumes, and then like volumes 6 through 10, they're like, okay, you pay for those.
Right. You're gonna have to
at
give me
least
some
you get
Rex.
yeah, I will get you some Rex. I feel like there's this one that is super cute that I've been recommending, A Sign of Affection. It's
I
about a
think my
girl.
friend literally told me to read that one.
Yes. Okay. Now we're doubling down because it is definitely such an underrated manga. It's so cute. Like the main character is deaf and she's going to college and she meets a guy and they just start to have this like romantic relationship and it's just the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm excited about that one because I remember she literally told me about this. Like, I'm pretty sure it was this week. So
Good. And it's available, the chapters are available on Kindle Unlimited, but I started reading it when the first chapter came out. Now they're on like chapter like 25. So I feel like the
Wow.
first couple of chapters are probably not free anymore.
Okay, I'd have to check.
Yeah, but Google's your friend.
No, literally.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. Okay, cool. And let me know in the chat if anyone has any other questions before we go. I think a fun way to wrap this up, I think, would be like, okay, what are you reading next? What's the next reading plan?
Good question. I have so many choices. I kind of need help like deciding on what to even read next. So I was thinking about maybe picking up A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
Oh, yeah, everyone's talking about that. It has to be,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually good or if people are just hyping it up.
I know. It's funny. Okay, I'm working with Get Underlined for to be like the face of their TikTok for the next 4 months.
Ooh.
So, and that's a Get Underlined title. And thank you. And
sorry, I feel like I didn't want to interrupt. So I was like,
that's a Get Underlined title. And I've seen everyone talk about it. And so when I found out that they had, published it, I was like, maybe I should finally give this a read. Like, it's very popular.
yeah.
But then
you tell us if it's good or not.
Yeah, literally. But I don't know if I'm in the mood for like a YA. I think that's like a mystery solving type of book. Yeah. Or if I want like a fantasy or I don't think I want a romance just because I just read a romance. So I probably would want like a fantasy or,
Yeah, that makes sense. I know what I'm reading next, and I just told you about reading it, and I'm gonna grab it really quickly. I'm gonna scoot.
Okay.
I love having a rolling chair now. It's so handy.
That's so iconic.
I was just telling you about it.
Oh, yes.
The 4th installment came out, so I'm basically going to try and read all 4 now, all together, because I haven't, binging a series is just like everything to me. I guess I do really just love long stories. I'm just like,
right. Right.
Give me 24 plus hours of a book. Thank you.
No, I love binging series. Like, I know a lot of people would rather wait for every single book to come out, or like read it while every single book is coming out. But for me, I literally just talked about that in my book haul about this Woven Kingdom. Like, I want to read it so bad, but knowing that it's the first book and I'm not gonna have the rest of the books. I'm like,
You're like, I don't want to hurt myself on purpose. I can just wait.
right.
But I also like need to buy it when it comes out, apparently, too.
Exactly.
I love that. What I've been doing is I'll try and read the books as they come out, but then also get the chance to reread them as the next installment comes out. So that way
Mhm.
I like with The Last Magician, and that's why I think my recommendation is like so strong, is because I've reread now The Last Magician, I think 3 times now.
Oh wow.
Because when it first came out, and then when the second one came out, I reread it, and then the third one came out, and I reread both the first and second. So like I like this kind of, I read it and like it destroys me, and then I wait a year, and then I'm like, okay, I reread it and continue. It's just a fun method to my craziness. So I can
Right.
totally get wanting to wait though, because it's like,
Okay.
especially for a long series, because then you know that every book's gonna have a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me every single time. I'm like,
Let's see. I tend to not like YA thriller. Yeah, I agree. When you said that, I was like, ooh, that's probably not a series I would like, because I forget the last series a lot of people hyped up. I think it was like A Study in Charlotte. I didn't
I remember
enjoy.
that. I never read those
You
though.
didn't read them?
No.
Oh,
But
I feel like if you liked Sherlock Holmes, which I kind of like, so I was just surprised. I just didn't care for it. I was like, eh.
I don't know if A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is technically a thriller. I think it falls more under mystery because she is trying to, like, basically what it's about is that there's this case that is allegedly solved, but the main character does not believe that it's solved, so she tries to like go and solve it herself with, I guess, her group of friends. And I don't know, the cover just really intrigues me. So I'm interested to see, because I recently read the Mary Shelley Club,
Oh,
and
right.
I think I gave it a 3.5.
Mm.
Because it wasn't like anything like legendary, but it wasn't like horrible, you know? So I get what you mean by like not liking light thrillers. It's like,
Yeah, where it just like continues to fall at a 3 star, and I'm like, I need to be getting those 4 and 5 stars in my
right.
life, or else I'm gonna accidentally fall into a reading slump and like pop out a year later being like, haha, oops.
Right.
That makes sense. Um, well, it has been an hour, and if anyone doesn't have any more questions for us, I think it's time to wrap up the live show. Thank you for everyone joining. I did link below the Twitter account for the book club to vote for our next book. It's going to be the April book. I'm skipping March because like this live show is pretty late on my part. My bad. But it's going to be our April book pick, and it's between An Unkindliness of Ghosts, I think is what it's called. An Unkindliness of Ghosts. I can't speak. Ooh, it's between that and Kindred, which are 2 sci-fi stories. So I'm very interested to see what you guys vote on. So make sure to hit the link below and go cast your votes. And otherwise, thank you, Mika, so much for joining the live show. It means so much. I'm very happy you enjoyed the book.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, so
Thank you so much
ecstatic.
for having me.
Yes. And definitely check out her channel if you are not subscribed or haven't heard of Mika. Her channel name is Mika August. Go check her out. She is a fun ball. We love her. Okay. And yeah, that's it for the live show. Thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, see you next month, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.